In the quiet ancient village of Gaya, a seeker once asked his guru, how do I find balance in a world so consumed by distractions? The guru smiled and said, wisdom doesn't lie in the noise, but in the silence between it. And listeners, we all, I believe, would relate to finding either the silence or the wisdom that can help us find silence or the noise that surrounds that silence because we all have so much distractions around us, our mobile phones, televisions, our corporate jobs, our personal lives. But often we miss out finding the time for self. And that's what we are here in seeking, and where we are constantly juggling between our personal and professional responsibilities. The idea of seeking ancient wisdom is to manage modern challenges. And today we are joined by Krishna Prakash, a disciple of Master Shri, who has deeply immersed himself in the living Siddha and Advaita Vedanta traditions, both with roots extending over 2,500 years. Since 2004, he has been fortunate enough to work with entrepreneurs and professionals across the globe. And he has a master's degree in yoga from Annamala University and yoga adhyapak training from the Bihar School of Yoga. Krishna has pioneered the systematic study of Yoga Nidra as well. Welcome, Krishna.
Namaste. Thanks for inviting.
Krishna, pleasure is all mine. After having attended your retreat, in Bangalore in the previous month, I could, really feel that. I will not say that I have achieved it, but yes, I could feel that silence in that whole noise. Those 26 minutes or 30 minutes of Yoga Nidra meditation, which we'll be discussing further as well, did really help me. And I try to practice whenever I have not been able to get very regular with it. But yes, been doing it. And before, I dive into the questions, I do have a faint idea that your journey started with corporates because we had a, little bit of conversation.
Yeah.
So what really inspired you to, switch from a corporate job into, preaching, sharing the world with the knowledge of Yoga Nidra?
To be honest, there was a break which happened due to illness. So after that break, before that, I was part of two startups,
Mm-hmm.
and then that break somehow shifted me towards academics. Maybe the reason is I couldn't get job at that
Okay. Okay.
time, and then I said, why not me try something? And wherever I had used to apply for jobs, I created a database and approached them. And in fact, firstresource.net was born, wherein I became a vendor because I couldn't get a job. And then I helped people to prepare their resumes and CVs. And it was a big hit. And it was irony that I helped people to prepare, and mine was rarely accepted. There must be a larger thing, right? And we can only do what we can do the best. And it opened up that entrepreneurship idea. Then the discovery was that I come from a very small town called Dindukal in south of India. And when I moved to study for my entrance to Bangalore and Bombay MBA entrance exam and worked there for 2 years, I figured out that it's not that the small town boys lack anything less, but they were not expressive enough of what they know already. So their program called the Last Bridge, I developed with the help of my experience and opened one more company called Spatika. Because
Okay.
earlier two startups were in IT. Now two startups were one in human resource space, one in learning and development, another was placements. Then 2 years down the lane, one day my teacher said, you need much more steadiness because at this age for the path, maybe they saw something, I have no idea about. So he said, one of your Guru Bhais is starting a place called Inner Challenges Private Limited in Bangalore. Why not you go there? So I went there in 2003 and it was launched in 2004 July. The company name was Shreyas Retreat. The holding company is Inner Challenges Private Limited. And
Okay.
it exactly what you mentioned, the challenges we face inside. So my MD, I learned a lot from him. He's Pawan Malik. He's an investment banker based out of London, and he was kind enough to take me in that company. So I worked with another finance stalwart called Balaji. He continues to be the CEO of that company. So for 7 years, I was there, where the space was people will have everything in the Arthakama domain, but they would be knowing, wanting to know what to do next. And their
Mm.
creature comforts and used to the kind of living and the food, it is difficult for them to adjust to ashrams or a very, what you can call a simple lifestyle. So this place helped them not to reduce their creature comforts, at the same time get into the depths of the knowledge what they were seeking. So 7 years we were fortunate to work with a lot of golfers, musicians, sports people, businessmen. You know, that is how we realized that this Indic wisdom is not limited to a geographical; it is a universal wisdom. So those 7 years was the training ground. That's the background.
Amazing, amazing. Krishna, this brings me to my next question, which I would really like to ask you. Is that you mentioned that your own journey started with a break because of an illness that happened. And I believe that's the truth for most of us living the modern day lifestyle today. Until and unless something really doesn't, come crashing towards us, or it's like being in the face for us, we don't really look at it. We are always so much in a rush, in hurry always, that there's one thing after the other. Okay, we might, we would reach milestone A. After that, we have milestone B ready. And at times, even before we complete the journey to milestone A, we have milestone B already, the journey towards milestone B started. Why is that so chaotic lifestyle with so much of, like you mentioned about the creature comfort? Why, when we are saying it comfort, and still we are in so much of chaos?
That is the oxymoron, right?
Yeah,
So, like, till we don't have cough and cold, we don't even remember we are breathing to live.
that's true.
And this is why maybe traditions kept a 6 hour check, sunrise, noon, and sunset. We withdraw from the day to day activities and just we were asked to be with ourselves. That culture has vanished because now people work almost till sunrise and they start sleeping then. So we are gone out of sync with nature. So when I felt sick, I realized that I was out of sync with nature. If it I was sync with nature, I would have never fallen sick. So once I realized that there was nothing to lose. I was not having any, I was not married at that time. There was no obligation to fill in a loan. So that was the time when I was nudged by my teacher, I said, okay, when a teacher says, let me do that because they know what is there ahead. We are only thinking for ourselves. We are thinking for a whole, right? So that is how that 7 year beautiful journey was there at Shreyas.
Understood. Understood. And I remember, like, I keep researching on the ancient texts that are there, not too much in depth, but yes, the cursory reading. I see a lot of, day schedules being put in over there. And apart from the day schedule, there are a lot of practices which were part of our regular lifestyle, not very far off, just a decade back. They were being followed at a very regular pace. But as we are evolving with every passing year, we are forgetting, we are leaving those ancient wisdom behind. Whereas if I have to do a comparison, a lot of our Western friends are adapting to those ancient, culture. Today, I'm not sure if I'm wrong in saying this, but yes, seeing the uprising, a lot of Westerners or the foreigner people follow yoga more or practice it more regularly than we Indians do. Whereas India is the land of origin for yoga. So why this shift has happened where now what the culture used to be for the Westerners or the Western world is becoming the regular lifestyle for us Indians, and whereas what used to be the regular lifestyle of us Indians has shifted and gone to the Westerners.
Maybe it's how the cycle of life works. Because the Kanchi Acharya who lived for 100 years, Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swamiji, his brother, Purvashrama brother, Sivan sir had clearly mentioned there was a time every part of the world, it's only Sanatana culture was there. Even today, Divine Mother worship and Shiva worship are being unearthed here and there. So it is the time, like for example, there was some 200 years British ruled, then the US, then before that Indian GDP was much more. I personally feel this is a cycle of life. Second, for us, we are also restricting the word Veda to a textbook. Veda generally means knowledge. Knowledge is universal. So I keep telling people that you just took certain portions which you can capture and made it classified as texts. And we started to claim knowledge is of human origin. We created, we did it. But if you remove us from the entire system, how does a creeper know that it has to go towards the sunlight? It is a knowledge embedded in the creation.
Yeah.
Though we don't subscribe to Charles Darwin's theory of we came from ape and all that, even if you go by that theory, who taught the baby monkeys to hold their mothers? Who taught the kitten not to resist when the mother is holding it by the scruff? That means knowledge is embedded with creation. This is what Veda also says. Moment there is a creation, knowledge of how to survive and live is with the creation, and the need for the creation is provided, like how the child gets mother's milk right at the time of birth from the mother herself. So, moment we understand that knowledge is universal, maybe we were custodians and we documented it much better. In between, we also got brainwashed to believe that we were bad at documentation because always there is vested agenda, and that makes life interesting. Like you take a battery cell, there is a positive and negative. If only one is there, the system will not work. You
Yes.
need both.
Yeah.
So gold in its pure form cannot be worn as an ornament. Copper, like supposed to be impure thing, is added, then 18 karat 22. So there needs to be a fusion of two things. So what we need to understand is whether Westerners or Indians, we need to understand knowledge is global. We don't need to compartmentalize. Today there are systems and frameworks in the West. We are having raw knowledge. Today maybe we can use those frameworks and build on that. So that is the way we have to see.
Yep, yep, yep. And deriving from this, can you share some of the principles from the Advaita, Vedanta philosophies, which can be implemented to today modern day lifestyle?
The primary thing is to have an understanding of the concept Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam. That means the world is a big joint family. So the vaccine diplomacy done by India was precisely that. A human being is a human being. Gender doesn't matter, race doesn't matter, nationality doesn't matter. If we can lend a helping hand, we can do. This comes from our core belief that diversity is the rule of nature. And just because someone doesn't subscribe to even our ideology, we understood the concept of apat dharma. That means at the time of emergency, life is more important and we did it. This stemmed from the idea that we believe Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. The second point from our Shastras and the elders we learn is Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu. My teacher used to tell, and they say that you can't have islands of prosperity amidst oceans of poverty. Everyone needs to live well. So the loka means the field of existence. Everybody, if they are happy, they have no time to think about us. So everybody let them be happy. So these two principles we can take from the scriptures. The third point which we can take global is the concept of dharma, which helps us to understand highway or my way is not the way it works. Because modern organized and founded religions are based on my way or highway. I am superior as long as you follow me.
Mhm.
and anything can be done to coerce you to follow. But the tradition is different. It's live and let live. You have an ideology without destroying the system because a garden needs to have variety of flowers. So that variety we are innately able to understand. That is why Indian born or Indian origin CEOs maybe are heading large complex corporations in today's VUCA world. So these are the concepts, and our coaching and leadership programs are built with the base of Dharma.
Okay.
So that is in a nutshell about how we are approaching through three concepts. One is Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, treat the world as your family, because
Yep.
that is the truth. Then Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. What is that we can do from our side to keep the world in a best place? Third is understand Dharma, help others to follow Dharma.
Wow. Those are some really in-depth, principles that you have shared, Krishna. Just building on this, you talked about, and a lot of time in the starting also we talked about going towards dharma and finding that balance within yourself. But today, finding that balance or the journey to find that balance often seems to be a luxurious, process. A person who is struggling, like if I go for the second principle that you shared, where, as you rightly mentioned, you cannot have islands of power, prosperity in an ocean of poverty. We have an ocean of poverty around us where people are struggling to even get one meal for a day. A person who is a labor out there going at different sites to work and just earn 100 rupees or 200 rupees a day so that he or she can come back and feed their children or feed their own stomach at times. How can we ask that you go and find that silence in the chaos that's surrounding you? How do you go and leave all this and follow the path of dharma? So how do we really put them these three principles in the modern day context and make it something which everybody can afford?
Yeah. So our tradition gives certain thumb rules of what kind of dana we have to do. A great Upanishadic story says that in the universe, suddenly a word the was heard. The Asuras interpreted the as daya, meaning we need to be compassionate because innately they are not cruel. So they said the warning from the divine is we need to be compassionate. The Devas, who are fun loving beings, they understood it as Dhamma, which is we need to have sense restraint. We are being warned by the divine to exercise sense restraint. But the humans heard as Dana, or you can call Datta, which is charity, giving. Because by nature we accumulate, we always think for a rainy day. This concept, when you extend, our ancients have clearly said, if at all you want to do something for someone, give Annadana.
Mhm.
Second is Vidyadhana. Then Vastradhana. This was part of our culture. That is why we never had a restaurant concept in India till 60 years back. Every home had a porch, and we
Mhm.
never had ready-made garments. Anybody coming from West Africa, Australia can wear a dhoti and
Yep.
a top cloth. Anybody can adjust with a sari. There is no size for it.
Yes.
Our dress was like that throughout India. The way you tie the dhoti might be different. The way you tie sari may be different. But anybody, any male or female can get a dress. Every home had a porch, so no need for a lodging there. And every day you need to serve an atiti before having food. Atiti Devo Bhava. So after the food is cooked, they will invite the passerby. After they had food only, they used to have food. This was the culture. And when I was young, in my mother's home village, we used to go near Vadiviswaram, near Nagarkovil. The homes had a porch, 108 homes, 54 homes. Big street it was called. From the first home, if we start running, we can go to the last home because all the porches were open. In the 90s, when we again went during our college days, slowly the homes started to close.
The
Once
boundaries.
you close your home, you are closing the world, right? It's
Yes.
not that robbery was not there. In fact, there was more poverty, more lack of good facilities, money was less, but people were happy. So more artha came into life, more karma came into life, pleasure came into life. People want to preserve it for themselves. The concept of sharing and giving vanished. Even today, people are donating only for 80G benefits in India. Consciously, someone doesn't go and give. What I got, tradition tells if even you're a retired person, 2.5% of your earnings has to go to the loka where you live in. Actively earning people should dedicate 10% of their earning, not profit after tax. So today, unless CSRs are mandated, no corporate will give that. So we need today rules because people want a legal system than a dharma-based consciousness-based system or conscience-based system. So what we can do from our level is, can we create this awareness in the home where we live without being preachy? We need to live like an acharya. By our acharana, people at home understand. By the way our home functions, our street will function. The way our street functions, the next street will function. Slowly, it has to be an inside out approach, and it is completely possible. Because we have to be very clear, like what Swami Shivananda said, unless you are very clear, you are the savior of the world, you try to do what you have to do instead of thinking about what can I do for the world. First, self-help is best.
You know, self-help is the best help, I believe, is something that, as you mentioned, that has come over the years. Because even I remember when I was small, probably much younger than you, but yeah, whatever, my childhood days I can remember. It used to be that we used to feed people outside, the Ati Devo Bhava, what you were
Uh,
mentioning, that used to come. But with the modern day comforts and all these luxuries that we have, surrounded ourselves with, there have been a lot of mushrooming of terms which I never heard 20 years back even. If we talk about after COVID, like when COVID came in, pandemic was the first, I believe most of the population would have heard it as a word for the first time. Pandemic, something exists in that manner. And right after COVID, hit and it really reached its peak, UN and WHO came out with another statement that mental health, depression, anxiety, stress are going to be the next biggest pandemic the human race will face. And these terminologies, I believe, might have existed, but were not so common in, 10, 20 years back. I never used to hear them. At least for a kid of 10 to 12 years old, I had least worry about anything. I was more, this. I would say if I have to put it in the today's terminology, my stress was how do I get to watch that 5 p.m. cartoon that's gonna come on the television? So I need to complete my homework first so that my mom and dad allow me to watch the television. Or how do I go to play out? How do I find my friend to play cricket or football? Today, and again, I keep bringing this example again and again in all of my conversations. I met a 11-year-old girl, when I went to play with my niece outside in a park. And she said that I have this toy with me because it helps me manage my stress better, anxiety better. And I was really surprised, and I'm really not able to, accept it that a 11-year-old kid could be going through this. Is it a reflection of what the parents are talking, or the, the these diseases have crept so much that a 10, 11-year-old kid has to be worried about these things?
this is the curse of technology advancement and misuse of material abundance. And now, when many of the whole households, both parents work, in order not to feel guilty, they shower the kids with goodies and they rarely say no to a child. And the concept of delayed gratification is gone out of the window. Everybody wants it now. Second, earlier a newspaper used to be there in the morning. Next day, you will get a newspaper. Today, every minute, there is a breaking news happening. And we don't need this much information because you are not going to take a decision on whether someone is going to send a missile to another country or not. But we have threadbare analysis of so many things which was not necessary. It's all waste of time. The second reason is people have stopped using their heads, hand, and heart and legs. They're only like machines, either mobile, laptop, driving. There's no movement of the side. And you ask people to walk and play with barefoot, they feel infection would come. If you don't do that, only infection will come because your immunity is reduced. I'm sure when we were in childhood, shoe was a luxury.
Yeah.
I remember playing college level cricket with barefoot. Nothing happened to me. But today you ask people to walk barefoot, they said no. But when Japanese come and tell walking barefoot in a grassland will reduce your blood pressure and people will start to walk. The problem is the more material things we get attached to, the less spiritual insight we will get into. And the community living is gone. Everybody is like a silos. Mobile themselves, they are there. In a home you enter, all the four have their digital phones, not one number, two numbers are there. So two WhatsApps are there. Multiple email IDs are there. There
Yeah.
are more spams than original messages in everywhere. So the
Yes.
reason is they need to detox from everything and utilize wealth as a means to further their life, not to become like this.
One of the biggest examples, if I would like to put across of this, similar analogy is the water we drink. 15 years back, it was direct the tap water we were drinking. And a lot of ailments like obesity or gastric bloating, they don't used to exist a lot. Or again, a lot of there's a whole list. Because and today, the more we have started drinking the RO water or different techniques that have come in, we now have Kangen water, which adds back the minerals which have been moved out by the osmosis process of ROs. These things have increased. I remember I used to go for naturopathy last year, and the naturopath over there mentioned that he had a patient where the person was suffering from severe acidity and some more ailments. I don't remember the exact, factors right now. He just asked them to stop drinking the RO water for 1 month and directly start drinking the tap water. And it might vary, and it is subjective. But the person that was going through that severe acidity on stopping and directly consuming the tap water after boiling it, of course, and removing those purities, the natural way it used to happen earlier, his acidity was gone. So we have all this luxury coming in through RO, but it's adding more diseases. Whereas the very first objective of installing that machine is to safeguard ourselves from infections.
Yes, absolutely. Let me tell you how we do it at Shrima. Uh, when you are in a place where there is no extraordinary industry which is dumping some waste into the soil, you can easily find out from the place. So at Shrimat, if you see, the touch me not plant comes.
Yeah.
And wherever there is excessive touch me not, you have a propensity to get stones in the body, kidney stones. And there is a kind of palak which comes. Locally, they call it huli soppu. When you eat it, you will feel like you're eating a tamarind leaf. It comes like a heart shape. So whenever water tank is overflowing, we see that leaf. Again, there is a cause of stone formation. So what they do is they use banana plantain stem as weekly, once in 15 days, that is cooked. So it is a counter for this.
Okay.
And kidney stone medicines are done from the root of touch me not plant. Like homeopathy, the opposite is actually the cure. No. So this, the nature, when you don't use chemicals in your place, the nature tells what is the cure for the issues. So mainly the problem comes due to water. So what are the problems which can be solved by using the herbs and the things which are growing around? And we get a lot of durva grass. So when durva grass comes, you use it as a detox. People now take it to Ganesha, offer it and come back. That is thrown in the dustbin. Technically, it is given back and you take a kashayam out of it. That is how it detoxes the body. Correct. So when we go back to nature, the first thing is water. Nature has given a water in a particular place, in a particular way, because that shapes everything. Body is 70, 80% water. and the industrial chemicals you are pumping into the body using RO. So what we have done, we take bore water directly, fill it for at least 18 hours in a copper vessel, where the research has been done at FRLHT in Bangalore. They have got the filters made of copper. They found 90+% of microbes are gone. Then you can, like olden days, warm it, add some jeera or sof, depending on the need of at home, or clove. So the digestive system, everything is taken care. Because indigestion's first root is water, as you rightly said. Acidity's first root is water. So sof or cumin seeds is added to the water while they boil it. So what happens? That water is always kept, and we never have drunk cold water. Cold water is poison because body is warm. Cold is against digestion because digestive fire, you are dampening the fire. So ice creams were a luxury. It's not a necessity.
Agree.
Refrigerator is a necessity for main, not for having your juice and things like water. You have to preserve when you live out. Basics like that. So what happened is when we completely moved to be dependent on industrial chemicals, which are used in the RO, our system is also gone, right? So
Yeah.
this copper thing boil and then you have many of the things are sorted out.